The Apostle Paul spent almost 3 years of his ministry in Greece, yet the land he traveled through was no longer the Greece of the classical age. The city-states of Athens and Sparta no longer dominated the region. That power had been replaced by Imperial Rome, which conquered Greece in 146 BC. By the time of Paul, Greece was a Roman province. Roman Greece was very different from earlier Greece. Although some traditions endured, the Greeks and the Romans had kind of a love-hate relationship. As early as 181 BC, the distinguished Roman senator Cato the Elder warned his fellow Romans that reading Greek philosophies and adopting Greek ways would rob Romans of their traditional values of strength, discipline, and patriotism. He thought such actions would make Romans weak. In Paul's day, Greece was no longer a political and military power. Still, it played an important role in the empire. It served as a crossroads connecting the East and the West. Corinth remained a vital commercial port city, and Athens gained new notoriety as an universal city. Plato's academy still flourished, and young men, especially from Rome, came to acquire knowledge of philosophy and rhetoric. In many ways, Greece prospered under Roman rule. Under the empire, Greeks felt safe. Roman governors would not tolerate rebellion from within, and Greece no longer feared foreign invasion. Athens was proclaimed a free city, not subject to Roman taxes, and enjoyed a large degree of autonomy. Rome had even invested in Greek economy by building marketplaces, temples, and infrastructure. Emperor Claudius was so invested in Greece that the Greeks held him in higher regard than the residents of Rome did. And not long after Paul's day, Nero undertook numerous construction projects, including an effort to rebuild a canal across the Corinthian Isthmus. The Athens that Paul saw was still a bustling city. Athenians gathered daily in the agora, which is the market, to conduct business or exchange gossip. The agora was also where philosophers congregated. Stoics, Cynics, Epicureans regularly met and espoused their views. Cynics questioned whether knowledge was attainable. Epicureans sought lives free of pain and stress. Stoics believed that all living things possess divine principle of life. People listened to the speakers speak either to be enlightened or entertained. The city was also the epicenter of many religions and cults. Of course, the Roman gods were represented by its temples and statues, as well as more traditional Greek gods and those from the Near East. In Acts 17, Paul's comments about Jesus and his resurrection aroused great curiosity. Before long, he appeared before the city's main governing body in court. There, Paul spoke of their altar to the unknown God. What Greeks and Romans saw as a religious tolerance, the apostle recognized as a spiritual vacuum only the one true God could fill. While he spent only a brief time in Athens, Paul spent more than a year in Corinth. Located about 50 miles south of Athens, Corinth was seen as the best and worst of Rome. The city had taken the lead in trying to block Roman conquest of Greece and paid dearly by having the city razed and its inhabitants sold into slavery. After sitting mostly deserted for a century, Julius Caesar rebuilt the city and repopulated it with military veterans and some freed men. Roman law was in full force in Corinth. When Corinthian Jews accused Paul of persuading men to worship God contrary to the law, proconsul Lucius Junius Gallio, brother of Seneca, heard the charges and refused to pursue them. Instead, he invoked the imperial policy of freedom of speech. Paul's Roman citizenship no doubt helped as well. Gallio chose to see the issue as a dispute between Jews, not as a challenge to Rome. This is a good example of effective Roman justice. Paul would have noticed some major differences between Athens and Corinth. Despite being more populous and more prosperous, Corinth lacked the intellectual and creative atmosphere of Athens. Corinthians were interested in making money, not in philosophical debates. Situated on the strategic isthmus of the Saronic Gulf, people of all races and nationalities passed through the city. Like Athens, Corinth was a city of myriad religions, yet it held a reputation for sin and vice. The skyline of Athens was dominated by the Acropolis, but Corinth had its own notable geographic landmark, the Acrocorinth. In the early days, the tradition held that the large temple of the goddess Aphrodite that housed 1,000 sacred prostitutes was atop the Acrocorinth. Although Greece would always hold a special place in the history and development of the Western world, by the first century it had forever forfeited its place as an important and powerful nation. Paul's experience in Greece caused him to collect his thoughts and to convey the basic tenets of Christian faith to a number of nascent churches. Being exposed to different philosophies and religion, Paul defended his faith in a way that nourished Christianity's future growth. This article was taken out of the Sunday School series Explore the Bible. The author is Gary M. Poulton.